Hi, welcome to Open Hand Farm. I'm so happy you're here to join me in my garden today. My hopes are that something I do will encourage you in your garden also. I am in my front garden bed, which I haven't shown you a lot lately, and I'm just going to show you an overview and let you know what's going on up here. Now, last time I showed you these garden beds, this one was full of lettuce. The lettuce finally bolted. It just kept growing though, you guys. It was so great. I had arugula, I had some Paris Islands, some Tom Thumb, some Red Ragus, and it just went crazy. I had friends come and pick it, and it just kept growing. So I finally had to kind of snip it off and give it to the chickens. They loved it. Now this bed is also empty. This one had turnips and spinach and radishes in it. My goal is to use these two beds for some of my winter garden items. So brassicas, carrots. I won't put peas up here. I want to put them on a trellis, but those are some of the things that I hope to go ahead and grow in these. After a few more weeks, I'll get those started. I've got some potted plants here, some Russian salvia, some stevia. This one is catnip or catmint, some lavender, and this one is citronella. Some of these my friend Stacy gave me when she moved out of town, and I'm just trying to keep them alive so that she doesn't think I'm a terrible friend. We still have lots of kale. I have been dehydrating this and making kale chips. I've been giving it away. I just can't get it to stop producing no matter what I do, which is great. Now over here behind the kale, I have beets. And this is one of the projects I'll be working on tomorrow. I am going to pull some of these beets and I'm going to pickle some in a refrigerator pickle situation. And then some of them I want to ferment. So I'm really excited to try that. I've never done that with beets before. I have canned pickled beets, but I haven't done refrigerator pickled beets. So I'm going to try that tomorrow. I'll be picking some of these tonight. I'm going to open this box and just remind you that when I planted these beets, I planted them 3 plants together. Let me show you why. So down here, you can see I have a big beet and I have a small beet. So in this situation, I can pull the big beet and leave the small one to keep growing. Now this is a golden beet, and I can tell that because the stem is greenish yellow. Now over here you see red, and that indicates my red beets that I planted. So let's look down here and see what we've got. I don't know if you can see, but I have 3 beets here. I believe those are all golden. This one, there, let me get there. These are the red beets. Now, something interesting about these cylindrical beets is that they didn't grow into the ground. They grew up from the ground, whereas the golden beets are in the ground, except as they get bigger, they kind of come up. So I have a lot of beets to pull and a lot of processing to do. But until then, let's finish looking at this garden. Over here, I have a borage. Sorry, the sunlight is so bright. It has lots of blooms on it, but it's not as tall as the one in the backyard, but that's okay. I love this plant. My lemon balm needs to be trimmed back. I need to cut all of these back because they're starting to bloom. You can see right here. So I will cut these leaves back and dry them and use them for tea. This is an echinacea and it is about to explode. This plant I dug out of my daughter's backyard last year because she just didn't want it. and it's a purple, I believe. I can kind of see purple inside there, so I hope I'm correct. Can you see all of the blooms on this? It's crazy, there's so many. I can't wait until it's all in bloom. And over here are the raspberries. Now right here, I have this bird bath that someone gave me, but it's not very deep. So I use this colorful bowl, and I have this solar pump. Now I didn't know if it would work this year because I've had it for 3 years now, but it's charging right now, so it's not running on full blast. Usually when I use this, I have to cover it with some rock, and I put this little bird on it to try to cover up some of the solar panels, because it'll go way up in the air, and then when it comes back down, it goes over here. So the water doesn't return to the bowl, so it empties the bowl so fast. So I try to cover up some of the solar power and let it just kind of be a gentle bubble. I've had a lot of birds though come and visit today and get a drink, and that's what I would love to see. My yarrow has bloomed and is so full that it's laying down, and that is right in front of my raspberries. And so I have to kind of step around them. I am going to cut these back soon. My thyme has exploded, as well as my lemon thyme, and it is blooming also. I'll go ahead and trim some of that back. And raspberries just keep growing. These are all new shoots, and it has new fruit on it. I still have fruit on the old shoots, and they're just doing beautifully. You can just see red berries. Let me get you down in here. You can just see all the red berries that are all over the place. So there's some over here, but the new shoots are getting longer and getting new flowers and berries on the tips of them. So we'll have a new layer of berries soon. Here's a good example of the old berries. We have lots of them fruiting. They're just everywhere. Now, as I've said before, these are Joan J. thornless raspberries, and they are ever bearing, so they will bear until October. That's what they've done the last 2 years. I've got a couple pots here. I've got some zinnias that I started very late, but they have really thickened up and have some blooms about ready to open up on top. I can't wait till they do. I've got some nasturtium and some agastache. This is wonderful. I'm going to pull one of these. It smells like root beer. It's similar to anise hyssop, except the scent is just a little different, but I love it. Over here you can see the flowers are doing well. The bee balm is about ready to bloom. It's getting blooms. I did plant a little cilantro. I don't know how well it's going to do, but it's kind of in the shade, so hopefully it won't bolt too soon. And then some of the coreopsis that I moved from over by the door. Let's go down here by the apple trees. We have more yarrow down here, except it's a pink yarrow. It's so beautiful. It too has such heavy heads that it's all laying down. So I'll need to cut this back, and then it'll just pop back up and grow some more. I had cut back all of my comfrey, and you can see that it is all back again. Here is the comfrey that I dug up the whole plant and gave to my friend. It's come back also, even though I thought I dug up the whole plant. Now this over here, these are some miniature cantaloupes. We planted them last year and they did so well. I wanted to plant them again. You can see, like right here is a little miniature, a little female bloom gonna open. There's several female blooms on here already. I'm pretty excited about it. I planted these not too long ago, like just a couple weeks ago. And then this one over here is a volunteer from last year. We have yet another comfrey. Now, I had told you that we had some apples on some of our apple trees this year. Not a lot, but some. So I'm going to show you what's happened. Not good. I was not able to get out here and put clay on here to block worms. So all of the ones on this tree have wormholes. But this one has beautiful green apples. So I'm hoping they'll stay that way. We've got 3 here and then a couple in another place. Then we're back over here to the other raspberries. Now we picked these yesterday. We picked 4 pints. And you can see in there are so many berries. So we need to come out in the morning. Genesee and I come out about 6:30 and pick in the mornings. She loves to help me with the raspberries. She was a little nervous about these because these actually do have some thorns in them. But I told her the berries didn't have thorns, the bush did, because she didn't even want to eat one of the berries. She says, no, I don't like thorns, Grandma. I was like, no, the berries don't have thorns, the bush does. I came down to the back garden because there's a couple of things I want to show you. Number 1 is this. The greenhouse is making progress. Mark took down all the old greenhouse and he had some rafters up to space them to see how they were going to work. And they were doing quite well. So now we have a plan to put in action and get it done. I'm so excited. Other thing I want to show you is just growth. You guys, I'm not going to go through everything here, but I want you to see what a week will do in the growth of a garden. There's so much in here. And as you can tell, I still have squash. And I told God the other day, I said, I have had more squash this year than I have had in 4 years. So if you decide to allow the vine borer moth to attack, I will still feel extremely blessed by the harvest we have had already this year. Then here are my cabbages that I was going to pull up. They are forming and looking beautiful. Look at these onions. They are getting big, like real onions. I am so excited. I just can't believe that I am actually growing onions. Then look at this beautiful nasturtium. It's doing so well here, right next to, you guys, do you remember the size of these cucumbers last week? They were not near this size. They have grown up, some of them past the top of the trellis. It is incredible. And we have baby cucumbers, so many of them. I am just ecstatic over this. See the borage back behind there? See the bumblebee? He loves that borage. And these are the little bitty tomatoes I had in the last video. They are doing so well. We have the Kiss Me Over the Garden Gate plant that is just growing like crazy. Again, tomatoes. And yet another echinacea that is just exploding, as well as oregano, another yarrow. Everything is just beautiful. I cannot tell you how excited I am with this garden. God has blessed me so much. Now let's take a peek over here at these what were little bitty pumpkin plants. It's just amazing what a couple of weeks will do. I can't remember all the names of these. I'd have to look on my piece of paper where I wrote them down. But I am getting baby fruits. I think this is the Kusha or something like that. I'll have to look up the name. But you see that? It's kind of a long neck, rounded body. Then we have yet another kind that we have babies of. So I would say the pumpkins are doing well. Then we have the green beans, the peppers, more green beans and more peppers. The peppers are growing tall, doing well, and I also picked beans last night. And you can see I have some on the plant right now that I left, some little baby ones like this, but I also have some bigger ones that I could go ahead and pull off, but I think I'll wait for Genesee for tomorrow and we'll do that together. This beanstalk of a sunflower has really done well. I put it here so that when it's seeded, the chickens could grab them and eat them. More peppers and more onions. Look at the bulbs forming. I am so excited. I just can't even believe that I am growing onions. I planted this coreopsis here. Last year I planted some fennels because chickens like fennel leaves, and I thought, well, if I plant it here and it grows into the chicken pen, they can kind of nibble at it without bothering the fennel. But it all died and didn't grow well. This year it is doing much better, and I'm starting to get my fennel bulb going on both of these plants, and lots of good green growth. The chickens want them desperately. Don't you, girls? You want them, don't you? Under this trellis we have more of the cantaloupe that I'm growing out front because we just love this. I had some extra plants, so I went ahead and planted them here. You can see that they're starting to grow. Now this one is a small sugar pumpkin plant. So it's growing up the trellis here, doing well. And then on this side, we have watermelons. And I'm not going to show you the food forest today because I've been doing some work in there, making some progress, and I want to show you when I'm all done what I have in there. I hope that your garden is doing well, and if you have not made a garden or are afraid that you aren't able to garden, please know that you are. There are so many fellow gardeners here on YouTube that can encourage you and teach you, so don't give up and don't say you can't. Until next time, blessings on you and yours.